Spritesheet Animation. In this section, we are going to see how to perform animations in the shooting game we have been creating using Spritesheet. Let's start by opening the Aim and Shoot project by double-clicking the Xcode project file. We can see that the background sprite and the play sprite has already been added to the scene, along with a sound effect on startup. Two menu items are also added to the main menu scene, which will load the game scene and help scene on selection. Now we are going to see how to add Spritesheet animations in Cocos2D. We need to include the Spritesheet animation in our game scene, so let's open the game scene implementation file. First, copy the texture and coordinates file created for Spritesheet using SwapText tool to the project. The texture file is in PNG format and the coordinate file is in plist format. Now let's see how to use these files for animation. For the first, create a CC Sprite batch node object using its batch node with file method. The parameter passed to this method is the Spritesheet texture file with the PNG file extension. Open the coordinate and texture file of Spritesheets and see the number of frames we need to use. Here we have 11 sprite frames in the Spritesheet file. Go back to the game scene implementation file. Add the Sprite Batch Node object to the class. Now add the Sprite Frame Cache to the project using the Add Sprite Frame Cache method of CC Sprite Frame Cache class. The parameter passed to this method is the coordinate file with the plist file extension corresponding to the Spritesheet. Next, we have to allocate and initialize an NS mutable array to store the frames of the Spritesheet. Verify the number of frames of the Spritesheet from the coordinate file. Here we have 11 sprite frames. The sprite frame names starts with 100 and ends with 110. Now in the code, create a for loop with 100 as the starting value and 110 as the ending value. Use this loop to insert each sprite frame to the mutable array we have created. We can get each sprite frame from the Spritesheet using the Sprite Frame by Name method of CC Sprite Frame Cache. So we have now obtained the Spritesheet frames to the project. Now we have to use or assign these frames to a sprite. For this, let's create a new sprite object with the initial frame of the Spritesheet as its file. Set its position using its position property and add the object to the scene using the addChild method. We have to use the CC Animation class to assign the Spritesheet animation to the sprite. So create a CC Animation class using its animation with frames delay method. The first parameter to this method is the animation frames which we have added to a mutable array. The second parameter is the delay for each frame of the animation to change. We can give it as 0.1 second. So we have created the animation using the Spritesheet frames. Next step is to make this animation repeat. For this, we have to use the CC Repeat Forever subclass of the CC action. We can use the action with action Restore Original Frame method of that class. The first parameter will be the action to be repeated forever. In this case, it is the Spritesheet animation. The second parameter is a Boolean value, which determines whether the sprite frame is restored to its original frame at the end of each animation. We can give it as no. The next and final step is to assign this action to the sprite object we have created. This can be done using the runAction method of the sprite. Now run the application. We can see the app crashes. Check the console for the issue. We can see that we have made an error in getting the sprite frame using CC Sprite Frame Cache class. Go to the corresponding place, and yes, here you can see that we haven't given the extension for the frame name. We have to give the extension also. In our case, it's PNG, and make the modification. Now once again, run the application. We have added the Spritesheet animation in the game scene. So press the play menu and go to the game scene. Here we can see the spaceship animating, which is the animation we gave using Spritesheet. So in this section, we have seen how to animate objects using Spritesheet in Cocos2D.